All right. What is inappropriate affect?
Okay, so this is a great question. Inappropriate affect is when you're not able to express outwardly the emotion that is appropriate for the context or the emotion that you feel inwardly. So, for example, if someone has said something like they've had a really tough day, or maybe they've gone through loss, and you're trying to show sadness or empathy with your face, but your emotional expression isn't showing empathy or sadness, that is an inappropriate affect. There are so many reasons why this can occur. For one, a lack of emotional intelligence, also a lack of nonverbal communication skills, and things like anxiety can really affect how you display your emotions. But there's also lots of other reasons that people might have inappropriate affect. Lots of medications can affect your nonverbal displays, particularly of your facial nerve. Mental illness can also affect your emotional displays, as well as medication for mental illness. Also, so can many other things. For example, giving a personal example, I recently had wisdom tooth surgery and I had to have bone surgery. And I still have partially inappropriate affect because I don't have full control over my facial nerve. And for probably about 5, 6 weeks, I didn't have full control over half of what my face was doing. So in every meeting that I had, particularly being a nonverbal communication coach, being unable to express my emotions appropriately was difficult. So in those situations, I obviously had to just say, I'm currently recovering from a surgery, so my facial expressions aren't necessarily going to be appropriate. And it's okay to come out and say that. Obviously, there's sometimes you can't say that. So if you do recognize that somebody does have inappropriate affect, try and consider everything as a whole. If it's very consistent, it might be a medical issue. And if it is interrupting your interaction, it's okay to just say, is everything okay? I notice that you might feel sad or happy, and don't point it out in a rude way. But if it is interrupting that ability to create rapport, it's better to get it out on the table and discuss it than to let it ruin your interaction.
Right. And in both of those examples, it's interesting as the person who may have experienced some kind of surgery or event that has changed the way you might express or created a loss of control over that, to kind of name it and claim it up front is very helpful. It's almost like right from the get-go, you can establish that new baseline and no one has to worry about it moving forward. Right.
Yeah.
But then similarly, as you said, if you do observe something repeatedly, it's probably worth just checking in about it.
Yeah. And the way you do it is important.
Yes.
And being polite and being respectful. And if I didn't claim it, I could see that the other people on the other side of the interaction were struggling to read my nonverbals. And it was creating this kind of negative interaction because I could see that they could see my emotions weren't appropriate. And as soon as I said, I don't have full control over my facial muscles, so I apologize. But I'm just letting you know I am listening and I am engaged. I just can't express it very well. As soon as I put that out on the table, their nonverbals completely relaxed because they now had an understanding of why I was looking a certain way and why I wasn't able to express myself appropriately. And again, if that's what you need to do, then that is the best thing to do. Just put it up front and allow the interaction to go on.
Yes. And I think especially because we spend a lot of time in this setting talking about video as that core channel of communication, not assuming that it's not going to show up or it's not going to matter or no one's going to notice, right? Like people will notice. So it is helpful to just be cognizant of that.
Yeah. And if somebody is showing inappropriate affect, a lot of the time it might be the situation that they're in. So for example, if you've just gone through something really tough and you've had a really bad day, had some bad news, and you're now trying to celebrate for somebody else, your affect might be inappropriate because you're trying to display happiness,
Mhm.
but obviously you're struggling a lot to do so. And again, what that can do is make your behavior seem false. And
Mhm.
it can again have a really negative impact on reports. So if you are struggling to show those behaviors, say, I've had a tough day,
Yeah.
I'm really struggling to express myself the way that you need. Am I okay to take myself out of this interaction?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, at the end of the day, right? Checking in with yourself, knowing where you are and knowing what you might need
Yep.
to share or say to help everyone out. Great.